So, I'm going to finally film this because I have been asked a million times since I had something's floating in the pool. Okay, maybe it's just a leaf. I ain't going to investigate it either way. Okay, maybe it's just a leaf. Okay, I've been asked this a million times, and I want to. Dylan is turning. Do not cry. He's turning 18 in June. He graduates from high school in May and turns 18 in June. He's going to be living with us. That will probably be his life for the foreseeable future, at least. In saying that, I have to and want to be intentional about still giving him his own space and being an adult. And I've been trying to figure out how to do like what type of content to do on YouTube, because I've been wanting to get on YouTube, but I'm like, I don't know what to say or what to do or what to talk about. So I am going to start kind of film our process of me teaching him independent level skills. So like teaching him how to cook, teaching him how to like shop for himself, teaching him how to order food like online otherwise. So I'm really excited about that because I feel like there isn't a whole lot of content about raising children with special needs that then become adults, and like what that transition looks like. So I'm gonna be the change that I want to see. I'm going to be featuring him in our journey, just with him having autism and now epilepsy, and just kind of what that looks like as he journeys into adulthood and we learn to shift our family dynamic and our home dynamic. So really excited about that. But also, to start the process, I am 35, and he is 18. He is 17. He'll be 18 soon. So yeah, it's been a journey. He was diagnosed with autism when he was 5. I noticed things were different about him when he was probably 1.5 or so. From what I was able, again, I'm 19 at the time. So like from what I was able to observe is he would start saying things and then stop saying things like mama, no, stuff like that. He would say like a word here and there, and then he would just completely stop saying it. I felt like that was different. Also, I felt like he didn't play with other kids the way I thought he would. And I'm a psychology major at the time, so I'm learning about child development and, appropriate milestones. And I was just kind of paying attention to the fact that, I can't put my finger on it, but something just isn't, I feel like something isn't right here. What happened was, at the time I'm living in an apartment, but close to my mom. So like right around the corner from my parents. So my mom noticed something was different. My son went to a preschool that my younger sister had gone to when she was a little girl. So my mom had a relationship with the daycare owner. So she talked to the daycare owner about it. The daycare owner had, similar concerns, had noticed some of the same things, and they talked to me about it. I don't know if I ever told them, honestly. I had noticed some things too. So by this time, he's like, I want to say 2.5-ish. So they got him evaluated by Early Steps, I think is the name of it. It was an agency that provided evaluations and resources for children with developmental delays prior to age 5. They did an evaluation, and he did qualify to get the evaluation, receive those services. At the time, it was labeled as a developmental delay. So by now, he's like 2.5-ish. He's not like talking really. He was walking fine and like eating fine, drinking fine. He had all of those like physical skills that were fine. But he did a lot of like lining things up instead of playing with them. Like the typical things that people say with children with autism, like playing with the wheels are a part of a toy instead of playing with the toy in the way it's supposed to be played with. So instead of taking a car and going vroom, vroom, he's turning the wheels, rotating the wheels. He could watch a fan spin. Now, a lot of babies like to watch fans spin, but he's like 2.5 at this point, and he could watch a fan spin forever. He would spin himself. He would do a lot of like what we know now is like stimming, self-soothing behaviors by spinning just over and over again without getting dizzy, things like that. So he got the evaluation. They said he had a developmental delay. We had someone come once a week to do what was called floor therapy, but it's like a form of ABA kind of, where she's teaching him how to like work with how to like play with toys, like appropriate play and appropriate responses and just appropriate social skills kind of through play. But it wasn't called play therapy, it was called floor therapy. I want to say she was a recreational therapist by trade, by license. Anyway, we got him into with the school board to get a psychological evaluation with the school board. And he got an IEP. He was determined eligible. He got an IEP, so he started pre-K3, which you could only be in pre-K3. This is in Lafayette Parish, Louisiana. You could only be in pre-K3 if you had an IEP, which he did. So he entered a class in the elementary school that I went to for my first couple years as a kid. And he was in the pre-K3 program, which was one teacher, a paraprofessional, and then it was, I want to say, like 6 kids with different types of developmental disabilities. So he was in this very small class where they worked on a lot of like social skills. Like they had an occupational therapist, he had a speech therapist. Never did physical therapy. Again, he met all his physical milestones. That was never an issue, but he did speech, he did OT, and some of the other kids did like physical therapy and other things. He did pre-K3. Then I moved to New Orleans for grad school. He stayed in Lafayette with my parents so he could continue to receive these services. He did pre-K4 at this school as well. When it came time for him to leave pre-K4, backtrack, he was also like he got the hearing screening, vision screening, all those things. Because another thing they thought was maybe he isn't speaking well right now, because the older he got, the more evident his speech delay became. The closer you get to 3, the closer you get to 4, you're looking at what other kids are typically hitting those milestones. There's a lot of speech and language development during those years, and he just was not showing that. So by the time he gets to 4-ish, 5-ish, that's the most evident of his delay, is like the speech and language component. So he was also receiving services outside of the school. He was going to occupational therapy, I think once a week or once every 2 weeks. If I remember, I can't remember exactly. But he was also receiving, that's where I was going with that. He got the vision screening and the hearing screening because it was like, if he's not talking, maybe he's not hearing us correctly. So we got the hearing screening a few times. Nothing was wrong with his hearing. It was more so, it was just like an oral speech and language delay, as well as like comprehension and things like that, cognitive delay. So he did pre-K3, did the pre-K4, got the services in school, got some services through like Medicaid outside of school. Those services have been, the funding for those services have been cut. The program, I don't even think exists, not there anyway. After pre-K4, I was in my last semester of grad school. It was an accelerated program. It was only a year and a half. So once he finished pre-K4, I only had a semester left of grad school, so the plan was for him to, move to New Orleans and live with me for kindergarten. Before he left Lafayette, he got the official diagnosis of having autism. I remember exactly what my mom told me. My mom called me. I was driving, and she called. We had been talking about autism for so long with all his different like therapists and providers and teachers, like that had been, and then me just being like a psychology undergrad and get my master's in social work, like that's something I had learned about. So this was something that we expected, but for my mom to call me and say like they officially gave him the diagnosis, I just remember pulling over on the side of the road and just bawling, crying, because I'm not sure why I was crying, to be honest. I don't know if it was like me viewing that life is going to be so hard for him now. I don't know if it was like a part of me thought that he would grow out of this, and this was the stamp that he would not just grow out of it. I don't know what it was. Honestly, I have no idea why I cried so deeply, but I know a big part of it has to do with just knowing that my child is going to have struggles, and it's going to be a struggle for me too. So at the time, he's turning 5. I'm turning 23. So I'm still young too. and going through my own emotional and, growth and development and, struggles and all the things. So it was a lot. So when we got the diagnosis, he came to New Orleans. What I did not realize about Orleans Parish schools was it's different than Lafayette Parish. You don't just go to the school that you're zoned for in your community. New Orleans is the only city in the country who all of their schools are charter schools. So there is no like zoning. You have to apply for where you're going to go. I'm not from New Orleans, so I'm like, I don't know anything about these schools. I don't know which schools are best. So at the time, I'm a student at Tulane, so I go to an elementary school that's close to their campus that is like a selective admission school, still charter, but you have to take a test to be eligible to apply for it. I got him tested. We went into the test a couple minutes in. The lady came out and was like, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for him. Which looking back, of course it isn't. Like, he can't even really speak well at age 5, much less test to get into this like selective school. So she told me, maybe you should look into XYZ. So I go on tours. Now, I mean, I'm in grad school, my last semester of grad school. I'm working. I'm just like trying to figure out how to do all this. At my internship, I'm talking to one of the other interns. And I tell her, like I've been looking at all these other schools and, I applied for a few different schools. I finally got a response back that I got into this school that he still goes to this day. But I don't know about it. She's like, no, keep him there. You really like, now this school was literally in my backyard. We used to walk to when he did get in and we started going to the school, we would walk to the school. It's literally right behind my apartment, street, school. She's like, there are so many people trying to get into that school, and not just because like it's procedures or rigorous or anything like that. They are a very inclusive school. They promote diversity and acceptance and tolerance. And with Dylan having autism, I feel like that would be a really good fit for you guys. If that's where y'all got in, if you did the application and that's where you got placed, stay at that school. Give it a shot, because there's a waiting list. People want to get into that school. So Dylan moved. I stayed at the school. I accepted the seat placement. Dylan moved to New Orleans that summer. Me and him and his IEP started school in August. And he's been at that school ever since. Starting kindergarten, it was one of the only schools that, like, at the time it was like K-4 with the plan to build up a grade every year until it went all the way through 12th, which they have now. And he is now in 12th grade at that school. They've been amazing, just as my friend said that day. Very diverse, very tolerant, they really promote and encourage inclusion on all different aspects, like different family dynamics, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different racial backgrounds, different differences in exceptionality. So that school has really been a great find for me as a parent of a child with autism. And he has received his speech therapy at the school. We tried to get additional speech therapy after he, got into the school, so he would be receiving speech therapy. I think it was twice a week in his IEP, as well as outside speech therapy. But the only times they had available were like Tuesday at 10:30, Thursday at 9, Wednesday at 1. He's in school. I have a 9-to-5 job at the time. Like, I'm working in a hospital. I can't just like leave, go check him out every week and bring him back. Like, that's not the way that our lives were set up. So he did not receive outside speech therapy, but the speech therapists at the school were always great, and he grew a lot through that. He received OT probably up to middle school. He used to struggle with things like holding his pencil correctly and holding his fork correctly, like just different things like that. He eventually graduated occupational therapy and didn't need it anymore. When he did come to New Orleans, backtrack, when he was little, we did try ABA for a few months, where they helped him with like appropriate social skills and things like that, We went through LSU's program, I think through his Medicaid, and we used to work with someone who was like a resident. Did this like therapy once a week. It worked out fine, but I truly felt like he was getting a lot of like those social skills trainings that he needed with the school. So I didn't feel like he needed a whole lot of additional support on that. And two, again, as a single mom, it was hard to like make it uptown by 6 o'clock for this meeting. Yet when you look back, it's like some of those things that like I wish my life was set up differently then, so I could have supported him in a different way. I know I did everything I could with the circumstances that I had. But you kind of think back, like, what if? Also, when he was maybe 7-ish, his teachers and his case manager and stuff, we really started talking a lot about how it was hard for him to stay focused in class. He was not hyperactive, but he was very inattentive, very common. Children with autism, he was in his own world, and it was hard to like bring him back and keep him on track when it came to work. So we tried medication. He took Adderall XR. He went to a psychiatrist. He would meet with a psychiatrist, and I want to say he was on like 10 or 15. I think we maxed out at 15 milligrams of XR, which helped him during school. It helped him with staying on track and not wandering off. But one, his appetite went to nothing. He did not want to eat at all. You can look back at pictures of him back then and see how skinny he had gotten. I had to give him Ensure. I had to feed him like Ensures or Pediasures or whatever to keep his nutrients up, because he's already never been like a super, he's never been a really, really hungry kid. He's never been a kid who like overate or ate a lot. But when he took that medication, his appetite really went to nothing. So that was a concern for me. And also, because he was never hyperactive, taking the medicine calmed him down, but his baseline wasn't super high. So calming him down from an average baseline went to like very calm. And he's 8. He's an 8-year-old little boy. And he would not look like an 8-year-old boy. Like, he wouldn't be like tired or zonked out, but he was like a very different child, you could see, than he was when he was taking the medication, than he was when he was not taking the medication. So that we went to Disney, and I stopped giving him the medication while we were there because I felt like he wasn't like enjoying Disney to the fullest extent, because he was so. The first couple of days you could tell, we went for a week. So the first couple of days you could tell like when it would start to wear off towards the end of the day, then he would get like super, hyped in his normal self. And then I was like, you know what, let's just, give it a break. And I stopped giving it to him during the time at Disney because I wanted him to experience it in his full self. And if he was a child, which I gave him the medication because he was so hyperactive, he was like a danger to himself, he was so impulsive, it was a problem, then I wouldn't have stopped giving it to him. But that was never the issue. The issue was really in school. I need him to focus in school. So we ended up stopping that medication after probably about a year. For those reasons, and we started looking at other ways to try to keep him focused, keep him on track. And as he got older, he just got better with it too. And I think that's like all the services that unless I'm forgetting something, we never did talk therapy because his level of cognition just isn't. It's very abstract, very black or white. It's that wouldn't have been really beneficial. Even with his psychiatrist, he would try to ask him questions and wasn't able to really get anything. So that's all the services I think that we received with Dylan in his years as a child having autism. Then here came the epilepsy. which is a whole nother video. The epilepsy didn't show up till he was 16, and it came in with a bang. Lord, did it come in with a bang. But that's another day, another time. I've never really shared my full story of like my experience of what that looked like when we found out Dylan had epilepsy. I've never really shared that online. I've talked about the fact that it happened, but I've never like fully shared my experience. So that might be something I would do in the future as a different video, just to kind of like give my perspective of what that looked like as a mom and how I processed that, and how I have been navigating that with learning he had epilepsy at such a late age. But for now, I get a lot of questions about, how did you know Dylan had autism? What did you do when you found out Dylan had autism? And what that looked like, and what services did you get, that kind of stuff. So I hope I shared everything in here. I think I did. If I think I'm remembering everything. It's been a while, child. It's been 17 years of this. So, and I think that's pretty much all. If I remember anything, I'll come back and share it. But yeah, it's been a journey. I'm constantly having to like, shift my perspectives and make changes, and being really, really intentional about the way I talk, the way I act, the way I plan things, the questions I ask him, how I ask him, when I ask him. I have to be intentional about everything. And it's taught me so much about myself as a person, as a parent, as a mom to him, as well as a mom to my other kids. Because you have to be so intentional and mindful and thoughtful about everything. It just, it kind of trickles down to every other aspect in life. So that's where we are. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And I look forward to sharing more of my journey to hopefully like reach other parents and other people that know other people that have autism, or helping somebody else navigate the journey of being a mom with a child with autism, or just a person living with autism. So yeah, thanks for watching. Look forward to more videos with you guys.